Zach Gelb. He hosts afternoons nationally on the Infinity Sports Network. Is it the Infinity Sports Network or the Infinity Radio Network? I say it differently every time you come on.
You know, I respect my elders, so I haven't corrected you yet. But yeah, there's a lot of times you get it wrong. It's the Infinity Sports Network.
Infinity Sports Network. Okay.
Yes.
He's afternoons, Infinity Sports Network. He comes to us Wednesdays live from the WFAN studios in New York City. I see the Boomer and Geo sign behind him. Gelby just having the time of his life with all the NFL maneuvers that are going on right now. So the Dolphins have agreed to terms with Zach Wilson. He's going to be the backup for Tua. You are there in New York, as I mentioned. You've lived through the Zach Wilson experience with the Jets, not that you're a Jets fan. What can you tell us? What do you think about him being the backup for Tua?
He's a backup quarterback. If he has to start games, can he weather the storm for a game or two with the weapons around him? Sure. I don't think that's crazy to say. Do I think there were better options out there at the backup quarterback position? Like if the Dolphins are without Tua for any long period of stretch, as we saw last year, they're screwed. But it's about weathering the storm. I would have rather had someone like Jameis Winston in there than a Zach Wilson. That would just
that was my point, was overpay for a Jameis or get someone who's proven, like we talked about yesterday, Gardner Minshew, who comes in there and he's got some, I don't know, some swagger and some cachet. I feel like with Zach Wilson, again, you saw him in New York, but I feel like with Zach Wilson, we're barking up the same tree that we were with Tim Boyle and Tyler Huntley and Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, I also think, too, a lot of it with Zach Wilson is up here, and that's difficult when you go into a New York market. And don't get me wrong, it's not as if the Jets were this well-equipped, well-oiled machine with Zach Wilson. They've been a disaster for a while, but there was some talent around him. I think it's less physically with Zach Wilson and more so mentally when it comes to him at the starting quarterback position.
And even, I don't know, given the benefit of the doubt, Gelb, to Chris Greer, where we don't have the money to go get any big names, can the Dolphins be fixed in your mind? Can they go? Because they've signed a couple linemen. They just signed a linebacker, but it's all one-year deals, 2.5, 4.1 million. We don't have the money to go get any big names. Can the Dolphins be fixed by 1 or 2 year, $10 million guys?
I think the Dolphins are kind of in the worst spot that you could be in the NFL, where they're not bad enough where you're looking and thinking, okay, you're going to get a difference maker in the top 10 of the draft. And they've been bad in previous years, like how they got Jalen Waddle and stuff like that. I know there's trades that happened as well. But they're also not great enough to go, forget about a Super Bowl. How about just an AFC championship game? Or how about 2 playoff wins? They kind of, the way I talk about the Dolphins, I kind of talk about the Cowboys in the same way, where I think the range is they could just miss the playoffs if they have some injuries, right? If it's a crowded field, they could have 8-9 wins is probably the floor. The ceiling could be 12, but even if they do get to 12 wins, I don't think anyone's running and thinking the Dolphins are going to go, on the road, or even if it's a home playoff game, one in the wild card round and then go win 2 road playoff games as well.
But I kind of feel like the Dolphins think that. We were talking a little bit off the air, and Gelb was like, I'm doing the national show, so I'm talking about teams and players, big names that are, moving about. And he's like, I don't think I've mentioned the Dolphins very much. They haven't done much. And my contention, I was telling you off the air, is that the Dolphins, while hamstrung a little bit by the salary cap, feel that they're pretty close. And I kind of feel like they're pretty close as well. Because if I said to you, if all goes well, you've got Tua, unbelievably accurate and puts up gaudy numbers if you can protect him a little bit. You've got Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, and you've got Devon Achane and Jalen Wright. Like, you've got weapons. You've got Mike McDaniel. I don't think he magically forgot how to score points, call an offense that can score points. So I kind of feel like if you look at this team in a vacuum, again, everything has to go right. Bradley Chubb's got to be back. Jalen Phillips has to be back. Jalen Ramsey's got to continue to play well. Like, there's a lot of it. You've got to hit on an offensive lineman or a linebacker in the draft in rounds 1 or 2. Things have to happen. But if they do happen, if everything does go right, aren't they close?
Close to what, though? Like, I wouldn't say close to winning a Super Bowl, maybe close to winning a playoff game. I think we could all agree on this, right, with the Dolphins. Even if you may be more optimistic and maybe like Salana and I may be more negative. I don't know where Crowder falls on this, but just getting the tone of the conversation throughout the year that we've been doing this, it's almost like, all right, the three questions with the Dolphins are, is Tua going to stay healthy? That's something you can't control, right? We've talked about this for 3 years. You hope and you pray that he's able to stay healthy. It's then how serviceable can the offensive line be? We saw it last year. At times it looked good. Then at a lot of other times it looked bad. And then on defense, they have some good players, but these guys have suffered big injuries. So where are those guys at? And other guys are getting older. So those, to me, are three pretty big questions when we're talking about the health of the quarterback, which is out of your control, what the offensive line be, and then what to expect out of the defense. So are they close to winning a playoff game? I guess, but I don't view them as anywhere close to being a Super Bowl contender.
What quarterback move I would say is the best? What got you the most excited about that team? Justin Fields to the Jets, Sam Darnold, he's Seahawks. Now Geno Smith went over. Like what quarterback move that you say, you know what, that might work out?
It may not be the way that you're asking the question. The one that excited me the most was Matthew Stafford saying with the Rams, because it would have been the dumbest thing for Matthew Stafford and the dumbest thing for the Rams if they did let him go and they parted ways, because that's a team, to me, they're the favorites to win the NFC West. They are a top 3 team in the NFC. I would still say Philadelphia and the Lions are in front of them, and the Commanders are kind of biting on the Rams' heels. But it would have made no sense for me to move off of Stafford and why Stafford would want to go elsewhere. Now, in terms of the new acquisitions, honestly, I think Justin Fields will be gone within 2 years from the Jets. Geno Smith has a relationship with Pete Carroll. He could be efficient. And Sam Darnold, I think it's low risk, high reward. Like when I first saw it, 3 years, $110.5 million, I'm like, all right, similar to the Baker contract, right? And then I saw it's only $55 million guaranteed. And I go, all right, even if he's only there for a year, and where the NFL salaries are now for quarterback, it doesn't prevent them from moving on if they wanted to, if Sam Darnold goes back to the Sam Darnold that he was before Minnesota. So I guess the one I'm curious about the most out of the 3 that really did go down that you mentioned is Sam Darnold, because he's younger and now we're trying to figure out what Sam is, but also Sam doesn't have the same pieces around him that he did in Minnesota, and he goes to a lesser destination in Seattle.
Way too early AFC East rankings, Gelb, and I know it's
Dolphins
unfair. I know it's
I'm
unfair.
sorry, you weren't talking to me.
Because the draft matters. But just based on early free agency signings, I would imagine at this point it's Patriots 2 behind Buffalo, in your opinion?
Wait. You putting the Dolphins at 1?
No, behind Buffalo.
Oh.
I'm putting the Bills at the top.
I'm a Patriot fan, full disclosure. I think you guys know that. Your listeners know that. Number 1, Bills. Number 2, Dolphins. Patriots 3, Jets 4. It's still the Dolphins are 2. The Patriots.
The Patriots have been doing a lot of moves. Like they're making moves.
They have. There's a long ways to go. They still need to figure out that offensive line and who's catching the football from Drake May. So blocking and wide receivers are still an issue.
That's where I take issue with you, because I don't think it's going to be Drake May. You guys got the backup quarterback that I have been pining for 2 seasons now, Josh Dobbs.
Gracious.
Yeah, I'm not doing this shtick crap with you, Hofstra.
I love Josh Dobbs.
I'm just not doing it.
Josh Dobbs.
As Crowder would say, I'm going to punch you in your mouth.
He is a potential MVP.
In the mouth.
Josh Dobbs will have Drake May's job by week 5, and Josh Dobbs is the wild card who can lead that Patriots team back to glory that Tom Brady had them in. I firmly believe that.
By the way, since we got to the ridiculous part of this radio program, let me just ask you this. Did Salana come clean with you guys and tell you his big news?
No, he did not.
Well, Salana, I'm going to break it for you. He's leaving WQAM. He's going into business with Zach Wilson, and he's going to be a part of the Salana Shakers. And they're going to be a big part of the Mormon community. That's what I was told. Sources confirmed.
Right, because he had some offers. We didn't know if he was going to be a soaker or a shaker.
Yeah,
so you're saying he's gone with the Shakers.
I was told he's a shaker. Salana Shakers.
So
at the low price of $5.99 per shake.
Soaker's got the better deal, Gelby. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I think I would break the rules. I don't think I need a shaker, honestly. If that's just me, if I'm being honest.
You know,
I would say, put the shaker in the transfer portal, folks.
Our friend Javon Holland is going to be up there in New York playing for the Giants. That's a good signing, I think, by the Giants. He's a very good safety. He had down season, but he is a very good safety.
Yeah, so the Giants are an interesting spot. It's almost like whatever they do, nobody cares about until they figure out what's going to happen with the quarterback position. I ultimately think that Aaron Rodgers is going to wind up with the Steelers. Rodgers will be a drama horse, so I'm sure that this will continue to wait a few days. Maybe Salana could shake that news out of Aaron Rodgers, but that was good. But anyway, Russell Wilson, I think, will be the next quarterback of the Giants, and I still think the Giants should trade up into the draft and get Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick.
Is Aaron gonna be a good guy on the way out? That's my whole thing about him, Gelb. Like there's veterans that can be good dudes, and like Brady in Tampa. Brady could still play. Peyton in Denver. Peyton could, but they weren't what they were when they were Hall of Fame talent. Is Aaron Rodgers about to be a Tampa Bay Brady or I think a better example is the Denver Peyton, where Peyton was not good, but Peyton is going to manage the team. He's going to be a great leader. He's going to get them around, and then going to win another Super Bowl. Can Aaron Rodgers' personality be that?
I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to win another Super Bowl again. Like, if the best destination he could go to is Pittsburgh, they haven't won a playoff game since 2016. When he had an easier road in Green Bay with better teams, he came up short at times towards the end up against the Niners. Even when Brady threw 3 interceptions that NFC Championship game, how many times did he get the ball back? And I think there was 2 drives they had 3 and outs for -6 yards. So I think the moment, which it's different for what happened with Peyton Manning in Denver, because you're right, he was not playing well that year, had a good AFC Championship game, and then Von Miller won them that Super Bowl. I think his Super Bowl would just be winning a playoff game in Pittsburgh, and then it's like, okay, I went out on a good note and saved face from the injury and then the poor season in New York. So I think Aaron's Super Bowl at this point would just be winning a playoff game with the Steelers.
Yeah, he's one of the things that you're just watching. I'm wondering, do you think there's a lack of a market for him? I know we keep saying it's up to him, like he'll decide whether he wants to be in New York or Pittsburgh. Do you think both those teams actively want him?
Oh, I think the Steelers want him. I don't think they look at it like, okay, we need him, because then they'll just run it back with Russ. The Giants are desperate. I think Joe Shane and Brian Daboll, they're desperate because they're on the hot seat. So they're trying to bring in someone that could make them survive this year. And then also, if it doesn't work, then maybe you go into the draft, you get a quarterback, and you put that quarterback in halfway through the season. But if you're bringing in Aaron Rodgers, I think it's tough to work a young quarterback with him, even though him and Jordan Love, considering the circumstances, seemingly that relationship was not as bad as the way that it was portrayed, from my understanding.
Zach Gelb, see him on the Infinity Sports Network, not the Infinity Radio Network. A lot of people get that confused. People like that.
All right.
People like the name change.
It doesn't matter as long as the paycheck still clears.
Does the paycheck say Infinity now?
It still says Odyssey. And then it's sprinkled in a little Westwood too, but that's behind the scenes in the radio world. But
right.
Whatever they want, wherever they tell me to broadcast, whenever they want me to say the name of the network is, I may mess it up from time to time like Hawk, but eventually I'll get it right and we'll keep on doing the same show.
I love inside radio talk, man. Nothing makes me happier. Zion Williamson on pace to be MVP. See his triple-double last night? All right, we're out of time. Zach Gelb from...
He would be good for the Shaker community for Solana, I'll tell you that.
I'll tell you what.
Get Mariah Mills involved there if you remember that story.
You'd have to be a shaker because you couldn't shake him. That's you'd have to have too many shakers. It'd be
Solana will be like, hey, Crowder, Gelb, can you come on over and help me out? We got a big client today.
Have you read the story? I don't know if he soaks well.
All right, I'm going to go so I don't get canceled. Later, guys.
I think it may be too late.